Welcome. Hey, everybody. Hope you are doing awesome today. Just want to say welcome back to the Change Chasers podcast, where faith is in action and change is always in motion. I'm your host, Mandy, and today we're going to be diving into something that every change chaser needs to live out consistently, and that is a topic of a growth mindset. So, whether you're navigating a transition or stepping into a calling or maybe pushing through resistance, I believe that your mindset is your fuel. Now, maybe you've never thought about it that way, but I do. So, I'm excited for us to kind of dive in and talk about it because I think that whenever we are in control of our mindset and how we are perceiving and thinking about how we allow things really to have influence on us, right? Are we having stinking thinking or are we having a positive shift of perspective? And so thinking about a growth mindset, I like to say that I think it's like a secret weapon. It's what fuels us. It's what fuels you, it's what fuels me. Y'all, it's just kind of like the thoughts of putting gas in a car. The gas in the car, if it takes gasoline, hopefully, right? That's its go juice, you know? And so my point with that is to say that in the sense of what we put in our mind either fuels us for growth or it doesn't. There's no in between. So what we put in our mind either fuels us for growth or it simply doesn't. But if we put, kind of talking about the car again, if we put bad gas in a car, then y'all, there's going to be trouble to the fuel tank, right? If we put stinking thinking and limiting beliefs in our mind, then there's going to be trouble in our fuel tank, aka our mind. And so let's go ahead and jump on into the episode. Hot take number 1: what is a growth mindset? The term growth mindset was made popular by psychologist Carol Dweck. Simply put, it's the belief that your abilities, intelligence, and talents can be developed through dedication and hard work. It's the opposite of a fixed mindset, which says, I'm either good at this or I'm not. As people of faith, I do believe that we're called, as scripture tells us, to renew our minds daily in Romans 12:2. It reminds us to not conform to the patterns of this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. That's the biblical blueprint of a growth mindset. And so a change chaser with a growth mindset says, all right, here we go. Let's tie those shoestrings tight and say, I'm not there yet, but I will be. A change chaser growth mindset also says, this setback is a setup for a new level. Or a change chaser growth mindset says, God's not finished with me, and neither am I. Y'all, I'd just like to say that I'm really super pumped for you to add your own change chaser growth mindset statements. And then as you figure out what they are, then y'all, I want to encourage you to say, heck fire, say them loud and proud. And so as you do, I encourage you, I'm rooting you on with the whole, let's go. Let's go, bro. Let's go, sis. We got this. One of my favorite quotes that I say often, it's actually even on the chalkboard in my kitchen that says, speak what you seek until you see what you said. And so this can go along with whatever you want to cultivate and develop as a change chaser growth mindset. Your own personal mantra is, hey, once you figure it out, then declare it. Say it loud and proud. My hot take number 2 for today is why growth mindset matters to change chasers. So thinking through this, I think the straight up truth is that I believe change requires courage. Don't you? I mean, you might be giving a little nod to the, yeah, I do too. I think change is so courageous. Like when I see people going through changes and choosing to go after a dream big goal or building a house or pursuing a new career or job or going back to college in their 40s or giving up smoking or just deciding that, hey, I'm going to try to eat better. I'm going to start walking a couple 2-3 miles a day. Y'all, that is not easy, right? I think it's so courageous. And so if you are being a change chaser, and hopefully this podcast has been inspiring you to think about ways that you are going to chase change and that you are choosing to grow as you go, then man, I just want to say air high five sent your way, because I do truly believe 100% with all of my heart that change requires courage. So keep being courageous, sweet friends. I also want to say that I believe that courage is fueled by belief. When I was thinking about this episode, I was like, I just want to make that point, is that, yeah, the truth is change requires courage, but courage is fueled by belief. Like, y'all, we just got this innate desire, believing deep down, like, I can do this. Let's go, right? Because the reality of it is that believing in ourselves it's over half the battle. Just not thinking in limiting ways of like, oh, I can't do this, or poor, pitiful me, of saying, no, let's go, and being courageous and standing up and deciding that you're going to have a pivot in your perspective and try to do things that get you out of your comfort zone, because growth does just that. But I do also realize that it's not just a belief in the outcome. I do believe that change chasers who have the courage to take the step to be able to be fueled in belief also have to understand that belief is in the process. And so give yourself some grace if you're not exactly where you necessarily want to be. I would encourage you to allow yourself to maintain some belief in the process as you're pursuing your change and your growth and whatever it is that you are aspiring to create in your own life. And so if you're chasing change, whether it be in your life, your relationships, your health, maybe your calling or your career, you're going to face moments where it looks impossible. Unfortunately, that's just real talk, right? And so that's where I believe a growth mindset, y'all, we got to let it kick in, and so we got to let that growth mindset be what we are allowing our mindset and our thoughts to really even linger on. Because if we can maintain a growth mindset, then it keeps us from quitting too soon. It keeps us from giving up, throwing in the towel, and just being woe is me, and never moving forward in the tough stuff and in the moments to where we're so close. If we can maintain a growth mindset, then y'all, we won't quit too soon. And so it teaches us to reframe failure as feedback. And so maybe that's a good little zinger line for you, is to reframe failure as feedback. A good play on some alliteration of some F words there, some positive ones, right? Reframe failure as feedback. Hebrews 11:1. I love this verse because it tells us so solidly that faith is the substance of things hoped for, it's the evidence of things not seen. And so when I think about a growth mindset is faith in motion, it's trusting that even if, and I'll say when, you don't see it with a yet, God is working. Right? A growth mindset is faith in motion. It's trusting that even if you don't see it yet, God is working and you are growing. And so allowing the process to be a part of your approach, I think, is such a huge way to be able to maintain a growth mindset. My hot take number 3 is how to cultivate a growth mindset. And so my 2 anchor words for this one is I want to make the point of faith plus action. It takes both. So here's 5 steps. I'm going to kind of go through them and then I'll come back with an explanation for them. But 5 steps for cultivating a growth mindset as a change chaser. Number 1, reframe the challenge. 2, learn to love the process. 3, speak life over yourself. 4, surround yourself with growth-minded people. 5, set growth goals, not just outcome goals. And so on number 1, kind of thinking about how do we reframe the challenge, instead of saying this is too hard, say, whew, this is stretching me, right? That's being honest. But you're not putting a negative connotation like hard, too hard for me. Woe is me, counting yourself out. But what if you say this is stretching me? again, the mantra of we are growing as we're going. It tells us in James chapter 1, verses 2-4, that the scripture says, count it all joy, right? That count it all joy when we face trials because they produce perseverance and maturity. And so, not always easy, I know, to embrace those scriptures in that verse, but the whole idea of knowing that whenever we do continue to persevere, y'all, we're going to mature, we're going to grow, and we're not going to be who we were when we started the journey. And so when I think about the journey, I think about the process. And so point number 2 of why I chose to put on here to learn to love the process is because change isn't just about where you're going. It's also about who you're becoming. Who are you becoming along the way? And so I don't know if you like to journal or whatever, or pop in the notes on your phone of, man, you might even want to stop after this episode and think about what are some life lessons that you've learned, some things that you could be able to put down and, just brag and be proud of yourself, even if it's just within your own internal excitement of knowing that you've achieved some great things. And so don't look past those. Don't be, I hate to say it, but don't be comparing yourself to somebody else's success stories because maybe theirs does look different, and that's okay, and that's great, and that's awesome. You can cheer them on, but don't count yourself out either. Again, remember, no stinking thinking. In comparison is the thief of joy. So don't get caught up in letting the process make you feel less than. Because if we can learn to love the process, then change gets easier, right? And then we get to grow as we go. Point number 3 is I want to encourage you. Speak life over yourself. Speak life over you. What you say matters. It tells us in Proverbs 18:21 that life and death are in the power of the tongue. So I want to say this to you guys that maybe you might even want to embrace the mantra that you could start saying daily to yourself. I'm growing. I'm being transformed. I'm becoming who God designed me to be. Okay, somebody make that cool into a, cool little boom, boom, chicka, boom, boom, little rap or something. I'm growing. I'm being transformed. I'm becoming who God designed me to be. It's got a good little rhythm to it. Write that down. Start saying it yourself. Maybe put it on your bathroom mirror. And so every time you brush your teeth, you speak those words affirming over you that you are growing, you're being transformed, and you're becoming who God designed you to be. I want to encourage you with this also on wrapping up this point, y'all, is that please, please, please remember that you hear 100% of everything that you say to yourself. Be kind to your mind. Be kind to your mind. My number 4 point on this one was surround yourself with growth-minded people. Y'all, we got to get in rooms where people are celebrating progress and that they are cultivating change and that they're willing to do the hard work, right? Being willing to step out with courage and say, hey, let's go. We're aspiring. We are change chasers. And so get in rooms where people celebrate progress, not perfection. Maybe you need to join a small group or a mentorship circle. Maybe you need to find a hobby of like-minded people. Whatever it is, for me, it's a faith-based community that sharpens me well. And so whatever works for you, I want to encourage you, but also challenge you to search that out, seek that out, and see if there are other people that you can link arms with and do life with. Because if you surround yourself with growth-minded people, oh my goodness gracious, it changes everything. And so the point number 5 was set growth goals, not just outcome goals. Right. So I know a lot of times us as being change shapers, like, well, when I accomplish this goal, when I get down here on this timeline of what I want out of my life or what I want to do by this month or this year of my life, then it can get overwhelming. It can actually get really stagnant in our thinking as well. Right. And so if we can set growth goals, not just outcome goals, then I think that it can also shift some of the pressure. And it allows us to enjoy living life a little bit more, right? And so the whole idea of thinking about, for example, of instead of only saying, I want to lose 20 pounds Then you can say, I want to become someone who honors my body daily. Pretty great, awesome goal, right? It's not just an outcome goal, it's a growth goal. Or instead of saying, I want to publish a book, you can say, hey, I want to become someone who writes with discipline every week. And here's the awesome thing. In both of those two examples, if you make a commitment to do both of those daily or weekly, it's in your routine, right? And so change is going to happen based off of our routine. So some of us might need to adapt and create new routines. And so, hey, what you start today changes tomorrow. So my encouragement is thinking about that. We've had an episode before of talking about day one or one day. And so maybe this is going to inspire you to circle back and think about hey, you know what? I think today's my day one. How cool would that be? All right, friends. So hot take number 4, real talk. Ready for it? Growth mindset in the Bible. I wanted to throw in thinking about some biblical characters. I always try to give an example in every episode about different people that are in my life and stories that I know about folks who have been change chasers. So I thought I want to go biblical on this time. I think about David. We know that he was a shepherd turned a king. He faced rejection, danger, and delay, but he didn't stay stuck, right? His mindset, it was faith-filled and focused. He had to kind of regroup a couple times throughout his journey of living life. He wasn't perfect, but he continued to make progress. And so when I stop and I think about the example he set for us, I'm really, really grateful for his faith-filled and focused growth mindset. And then I think about Peter. Unfortunately, Peter failed. He denied Jesus. But, y'all, he didn't say it's too hard, I tap out. Nope. He came back stronger because he believed that he could change. Peter was a change chaser. I think those are 2 great biblical examples as well. And hey, think about other people in your life or maybe some other characters in the Bible too. Just people who are change chasers. Because I believe that when we get to see examples of some other amazingly awesome change chasers, it motivates me to think about, I can do that too. And so I want to encourage you though of not getting caught up in thinking that you have to be all, do all, and be just like someone else. Is that I really love knowing that we are all so uniquely created and that we're not all called to be the same. And so just giving yourself the mindset of thinking about that, God is good. I like to say God is faithful and I am grateful. And that is so true for me because I truly believe God tells us in his word in Philippians 1:6 that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. And so whatever it is that you have been chasing change on, however you've been trying to create a growth mindset, a shift in perspective, and you've been trying to say, hey, this is what I want to do, then I want to encourage you, continue to give some thought to that, some time in your schedule, maybe change up your routine a little bit to be able to do some things that fuel your tank back up so that you can continue to persevere and make progress day in and day out. And so I want to encourage you with kind of a quick little wrap up about today's episode is I want you to remember that a growth mindset is faith in action. Change is not just about results, it's about refinement. And you can grow through what you go through. Don't chase perfection, chase progress. And then God is working in you just as much as he's working for you. I believe all those. And so I wanted to kind of end with those just to sweetly remind you of that. You got what it takes. And so I want to continue to say, hey, I'm cheering you on. Some of us have never met in person. I know that to be the case, but I'm just going to go ahead and continue to tell you, air high five sent your way. You got this. Keep on keeping on. And as you do, I'm going to close out with our C3 time, our Change Chasers Challenge for this week. I want to challenge you to write down one area of your life where you've had a fixed mindset. And then I want to ask you to rewrite that narrative with growth language. Make it a declaration. Speak it daily. Like I said before, loud and proud. And so, an example to help you to think through to create your own is, let's say that maybe your personal area of growth is to get over your fear of public speaking. So, a fixed mindset person would say, I'm just not good at public speaking. I always get nervous and stumble over my words. I just can't do it. However, a growth mindset declaration and a person who is pursuing a growth mindset would say, I'm becoming a confident and impactful speaker. Every time I speak, I get stronger, clearer, and more connected to my purpose. Y'all, that's just one example to help you to get to thinking about something or a task or an area that you desire to grow and experience improvement in your life. And I want to just say that once you figure out your growth declaration, will you please have the courage to declare it daily? No joke, y'all. I'm serious. I want you to speak what you seek until you see what you said. And so, determining your growth mindset declaration, once you know it, then please speak that over yourself daily, even before you feel it. You may feel like a fake and a fraud, but hey, change is never easy, but it's so worth it. And thinking about having faith in action and change in motion, y'all, that's what a change chaser is. That's what we're about, right? And so speaking that over yourself daily, even before you feel it. And I do believe when we're willing to have the courage to do that, that's how we move from stuck to growing. Again, with that sweet reminder of faith in action, change in motion. Sweet friends, if this episode has stirred something in you, will you please share it with a fellow change chaser or someone that you just want to encourage on their journey, that you see something in them and you're wanting to send this their way and say, hey, I see you. I believe in you. You got what it takes. I like to think about iron sharpens iron. So one person sharpens another. Thanks for inspiring others to keep leveling up and being proof that change is possible and that growth really, truly is contagious. You've been listening to Change Chasers, where faith is in action and change is always in motion. Until next time, let's keep chasing change and living with purpose. Goodbye, sweet friends.